Hi everyone. Okay, so I had a friend of mine come over who is a musician and a tech guy, and he helped me again with the microphone setup. And I believe we're doing a little bit better now. I think it's a little less tinny than the last one, which you all said was less tinny than the video without the microphone. So I think I'm pretty sure that we're doing good here now. I know this is in the way at the moment, and I'll figure out the camera setup over the next week or so. But here we are. Hopefully you all can hear me. And yeah, I have some hysterical bloopers from the microphone fiasco of the other night. It's cracking me up. I was laughing while I was looking at them earlier today. So, because as you guys know, I'm just not tech savvy at all. It's just hysterically funny. So anyhow, today we're going to do another installment in the Love Letters series. And I was really not sure which one I was going to do next. And then this one felt appropriate, even though I think part of it needs to be an angsty love letter, because I feel a little bit angsty about this one. But she's really come to mean a lot for me with client work. And she's able to communicate with clients in a way that I didn't realize when I started working with her. So we're talking about the Divine Circus Oracle by Alana Fairchild with artwork by assorted artists in the deck. There's quite a few different artists. When I first got this deck, I really struggled with it because of this artwork. I believe her name is Maxine Gadd, I could be wrong. I love this imagery. I struggle with the other imagery that's shown in this deck. This style is gorgeous to me. This one is beautiful. I'm in love with these images. And then we start getting into these. This one I adore. But this is oh my God, so beautiful, right? But then when we move into this place, the artwork is too clunky for me to read with. So there's artwork where you're being pushed by it, and it's powerful. It helps you to read in a different way and explore aspects of yourself that you weren't aware perhaps that were coming up at this point in time for you to connect with about yourself, right? So that type of artwork is beautiful. For instance, the artwork in the Tarot of the Night deck. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it the French way because I always do it wrong. That artwork is not my favorite, and yet because it pushes me a little bit, it enables for a really great read. And then there's just artwork that's too far off field for yourself, and it ends up slowing a reading down. And these images in the deck, which not all of the Divine Circus Oracle has, really throw me off. Now, some of you love her artwork, and it's the best read for you ever. For me, it really throws me off. So I have a love-hate relationship with this deck, because when I draw images like this, which this is my favorite image in the entire deck, I am so in love with this deck and so in harmony, and I feel so connected, and it reads like a dream. And then I get those other images, and I like this one, and I really have difficulty reading with it. It gets very clunky for me, especially when you combine these two together. This is why I struggle with decks that have artwork by multiple artists. And over the years, outside of... I have one deck that I've kept with multiple artists. I think it was the Light Gray Tarot. Something like that. I can't remember the name of it. I'll try to look it up if I remember before I upload this. But other than that, I've really released a lot of decks that have multiple deck artists because it's just a little bit jarring for me as a reader. And again, not in a healthy, stretched way, in a this isn't working for me way. So when I first got this deck, I really struggled with, am I going to keep it or am I going to let it move on? And it's a very good deck for positive, empowered shadow work. So it does encourage you while telling you the truth. So it's like a cheerleader, but she's going to be really honest with you. It's also not the wordiest of Alana's guidebooks, which kind of threw me for a loop because I was expecting a lot more as far as information in the guidebook. But what has ended up happening over the years is that I use this deck in conjunction with Reiki and energy work. And 9 times out of 10 for my regular Reiki clients who draw from this deck at the end of their session, they get exactly the message that they need. They feel affirmed, they feel empowered, and they feel very supported by the divine as they leave their session. And it's happened so many times over the years that for me, I cannot help but say that this deck has to be included in the Love Letters series, because even though for me, this is not a deck that I work with all the time. It kind of hangs out on the altar because it gets used a lot for clients. And then every once in a while, I'll draw from her, and she's always right on, but it's not always the message I want to hear. So I kind of know I'm going to get a little tough love from her when I pull her out to work with her. But the experience that my clients have with her is so beautiful that I can't gift this deck along. It has to stay in my collection for my peeps, for my, especially my Reiki and energy work clients. If you are new to Alana's decks, by this I mean Alana Fairchild. This may not be like the best introduction to her work, because this deck has a different voice than her typical Oracle deck voice. But it is nonetheless really beautiful. It's beautifully worded, and the imagery that I love, I really love in this deck. The imagery that I don't like, I really hate in this deck. So it is a love-hate deck for me. We've agreed to only see each other occasionally. I very, very rarely use this deck as a clarifier in tarot readings. And if I pulled this deck out for you, if you get a reading and Racine's pulled Divine Circus Oracle out for you, it's typically because there's an affirmation that I feel called to share with you from the deck that's more just a message for you than a clarifier to a reading. And so this tends to be my relationship with this deck. I love and hate the backing. I mean, it's called the Divine Circus Oracle. The backing fits perfectly. And I'm not a circus girl. I am an OG goth girl, but I'm not a circus girl. So I have struggled with, even just the circus aspect. It's not really my cup of tea. And yet the metaphor that she's able to use with the traditional circus character idea is really, again, it's powerful. It's a palpable thing that happens when people draw from this deck and then they read the guidebook meaning for themselves, or if you're in session with me at the end of a session and I read it for you as an affirmation from the energy work or for the energy work, it's very, very, it's a very visceral, palpable experience that people have with this deck. So it is not a super sweet deck. It's not saccharine, although it can be. It's not necessarily going to be your best friend, but it is the person you would probably call at 2 o'clock in the morning if you needed a ride home. Because she'll give you the ride while letting you know what you did that led you to get to the place to need a ride at 2 o'clock in the morning, which, let's face it, is very helpful. So in that way, maybe she is your best friend, but she's not the best friend that you need to hang out with every day, in my experience. So my love letter to the Divine Circus Oracle is, I love you, and you're on my altar quite a bit, but we don't necessarily hang out on the daily. And this is also a deck that's really good for journaling as well, and kind of looking at, for yourself, again, that shadow work piece, like where you can be stuck in something or an experience or a way of thinking or a way of being. And, hey, you might want to look at this piece. And if you look at this piece, what does that feel like and what comes up for you? And so it really is beautifully set up for that type of work. Again, because I use her as an affirmational deck, whether that's for myself or for clients, I really just do like daily draws or one card pulls with her. And so just in case you want to look at the guidebook, I might have a review from back in the day, but so, you know, you've got a good amount of information there. Would be a lot for anyone else. It's not a lot for Alana's decks. But she has a healing trick and an affirmation for each card, and then she, you know, there's a summation paragraph, and then she goes into the details. But again, she really gets into the root of things. And so if you are in a place where you're like, I just want to stop repeating the same pattern over and over again in my life, then this is a deck that can really help you with that. And so for that, I would definitely recommend her. But I have a love-hate relationship with this deck. And those of you who have been with the channel for a long time know that, like, there have been so many times when I put her in my seasonal deck list and I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know why. She's just there. Like, there are some decks that you really feel like you're coming home when you're with them. Or they're like your homie. And there's like that sense of connection. And then there are those decks that are just infuriating and really difficult. And your relationship is like multi-layered and multifaceted and sometimes painful and sometimes beautiful, but never boring. And I would say this is definitely a deck that I have that type of relationship with. It's never boring. And often I don't want to hear what she has to say, but it is helpful to hear what she has to say. And it is offered in a supportive fashion. She's not just smacking you over the head with something. There's always a reason for it. So the Divine Circus Oracle is intense, a little bit disappointing insofar as the artwork for me. You know, and I just have to be honest about that. Like, I can't pretend that I love this artwork because I really don't. I love the artwork I love in this deck. Let me say that. Like, the ones that I adore, I just absolutely adore. Like Supernova, Her Wicked Ways, Duke of Shadow. Like, and I know I've showed you some of these, but I'm just going to show you like my favorites again. Those I just absolutely love. I love, love, love. And the ones that I don't like, Lady Luck is gorgeous. Brilliant Virgin. Death Shall Not Take Him. But the ones that I don't like, I really don't like at all. It is tough. It's just tough. They're Out of Darkness I love. And so, Guest of Honor. It really creates this paradox, which is probably, could have been the intention. There's Bright Baby again. And again, my favorite card in the deck, the Good Geisha. So beautiful. And again, in that paradox, that could be very intentional. Date with Destiny again. You know, Rare, Raw, Real, one of my favorite cards in a deck ever. When you work with this deck, you just want to work with the paradox and not fight against it. That's what I would say. But this may not be one you use all the time. However, when you choose to use it, it can be quite transformational, quite impactful, and powerful on your path. So that's my love letter for the Divine Circus Oracle. Yeah. She can be tricky. She's a tricky lady, but she definitely knows what's going on. She definitely knows what's going on. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this kind of rambly video, and I will see you all in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Much love and many blessings, guys. Bye.